So as you can tell by the title, this is not a video that I had planned on making, obviously, but life happens, and as a lifestyle channel, I want to share as much of my real life with you guys as possible, because I never want anyone to feel like they are alone or that they are the only one going through something, because you're never alone, you're never the only one going through something. There's always someone out there that can relate to you. And hopefully by sharing my story, I'm able to help somebody else some way, somehow. So when I'm watching videos like this and I'm trying to find someone to relate to, I like to know the whole story, not just cutting straight to the point. I want to know how they actually got to that point. So here is my whole story about my ovarian cyst. If you are new here, I am very open and upfront and honest, and there's going to be some TMI moments, so if that's something that you can't handle, then please don't continue with the video, but just fair warning, TMI. So the story starts Wednesday, October 6th. I went for just my annual OBGYN visit, annual checkup, and everything was normal, everything was routine, didn't really think anything of it. I was on track to start my period that day, which later that afternoon I did. I'm on birth control, so I always know when my periods are, and they're always very regular. Midway through my period, I start to feel some bladder pain. Not a lot, but just enough to notice. Honestly, I thought maybe it was just from a period, or I had my Peloton. I was doing a lot of Peloton rides. Maybe I was going a little bit too hard and I bruised something, pulled something, I don't know. So since then, I've just been doing like short 5-minute rides because I don't want to obviously make anything worse, but I don't want to not use my bike either. So I just kind of ignored it, and the symptoms just started getting worse. So what started out as just a little bit of pain around my bladder turned into a bigger surface area of pain around my bladder. Just pain when my bladder was really full, pain when there's any amount of pressure on my bladder, and the pain was always constant. It just got worse during those moments. And then I started getting vaginal pain. It just felt like, if you're a female, you know this, whenever you have a tampon in and it gets really full and it just feels like you're being stretched apart, like it's really expanding. I just felt like I always had a very full tampon in, like it was just expanding like a balloon. Then one morning I sat down to go to the bathroom and I started feeling these sharp pains, and that wasn't a good time. So then I started having pains going to the bathroom, and I haven't had a normal bowel movement ever since. I started noticing that every time I would eat, the pain got significantly worse. So just on like an average day right now, it's at like a 4. This is my typical, this is my normal pain level. But when I had any amount of pressure on it, or after I ate, or if my bladder was really full, it's like a 7, 8. Pretty big difference pain-wise. So what I started doing is I started honestly trying not to sit on my bladder at all, like try to sit up so I didn't have any pressure on it. So I've been like sitting really strange just to kind of like keep it open, keep it relaxed. And if I have pants on, I've been just trying to like hold my pants away from my stomach just so that nothing pressure-wise is on there, because it feels better that way. Obviously not always possible to do, but something that I definitely was trying to do. So then I had a just yearly follow-up exam with my urologist. I have overactive bladder syndrome. So the appointment was just literally supposed to be, hey, how's everything going? Great, here's your refill, routine. So my televisit with my urologist was on October 27th, and I had called them previously and told them that I am having issues now. Is it okay to keep the appointment? And they said yes. So I have my televisit with my urologist's PA, and I tell her everything that's going on. She did not seem concerned at all. Way less concerned than I was. She wanted me to have some sonograms done, so she ordered me 3 sonograms. I needed a pelvis complete, a renal, and a bladder ultrasound. So I needed to get those scheduled, and then once those were done, I would proceed from there with whatever is going on. As time goes on, the pain gets worse and worse and worse. So by that weekend, I started noticing that I'm having a lot of pain on the right side of my bladder, like kind of around where my ovary is. That's kind of strange. It keeps taking up more surface area, then I'm noticing the pain. So I call to get in to have my ultrasounds done, and I'm thinking my ultrasounds are going to be done like the next day, 2 days, not a big wait period. No, it's a big wait period. I have them send the orders for the sonograms to 2 different locations because I just wanted to see where I could get in first. I didn't really care who did it, I just wanted them done. I called a local place to have my ultrasounds done, and the soonest they could get me in for all 3 of them is in December. I called another place, another hospital that they were sent to, and the soonest they could get me in was November 16th. So I took it. The next day, I tried calling 2 other hospitals, just again hoping that maybe I'd find something a little bit sooner, and neither one of them were able to get me in until Thanksgiving. So I said, screw it, I'll just keep the appointment that I have. I called my insurance company just to make sure that the ultrasounds that I had scheduled were going to be covered under my insurance. This is a new insurance plan that I just got in August. I bought an EPO plan, which I've never had an EPO plan, I've always had a PPO plan. So I called my insurance and they informed me that I cannot go to the place that I had scheduled my ultrasounds because they are not in network with my insurance. There's a very short list of places that I can go, and it's either here where I live or it's like 2 hours plus away. So I had to call and cancel my appointment, and then I had to find something here. The soonest that they could get me in was December 17th. So I was just gonna wait until December and, you know, hope that it didn't just keep getting worse by then. And I go to work on Monday and I'm talking to people about it, and they just said, you know, you really should at least try to see your PCP in the meantime so that you have a little bit more answers while you're waiting, because that's, you know, when you're having increasingly intense pain, more frequent pain, how much worse is it going to get in the next 6 weeks that I'm waiting? I thought that was a good idea, so I call my PCP's office, and the soonest that they were able to get me in was the next morning, which was great. I couldn't see him, but I could see his PA. I don't care, that's fine. So I get an appointment at 7:20, doesn't affect work at all, thought I was going to be done, and it was just going to be a quick in and out, and that was it for the appointment. So I go for my appointment. Today is November 3rd, so this is, I'm talking yesterday, November 2nd. I go in for my appointment with my PCP's PA. She is just asking me a bunch of questions about what's going on. She decides to do a pap smear, so she does a pap. She takes a couple samples, and she was supposed to do a rectal something, but that was not gonna happen. Didn't work out. She also did a pregnancy test just to see if maybe I was having an ectopic pregnancy. That was negative. So she was a lot more concerned about my situation than I was. I was actually at the appointment for like an hour. I was supposed to only be there for 20 minutes. And she kept telling me over and over again that I need to go to the emergency room. In my mind, I felt like I don't feel like I'm, you know, in dying pain. I mean, when it hurts, it's bad. But when it's not, it's tolerable. As ridiculous as it sounds, I was gonna wait until I was like on my deathbed before I wanted to pay for an emergency room visit. Even having insurance, it's ridiculous. And how sad is that we literally will allow ourselves to get into so much pain and allow things to get so bad because of how expensive it is to go to the hospital here, even with insurance. Just keep that in mind if you don't live in America. I didn't want to go, I didn't want to go, I didn't want to go, but she kept just saying that you really need to go. She said the only other thing that I would suggest, obviously I can't make you go, is call your OBGYN and see if maybe they could get you in for the ultrasounds today. If they can't get you in today, you really need to go to the emergency room. I try to get a hold of my OBGYN, and the only way that you can actually talk to somebody is by leaving a message to schedule something, and they call you back in 1 to 2 days. So that's not gonna work. So I call my insurance company, ask him what it would be if I ended up going to the emergency room, because again, I didn't really want to pay for it. And not that I wasn't concerned, because obviously I'm concerned, but I don't want a huge bill. They said that as long as everything is billed under an emergency visit, then it should be covered under my copay. So anything after that, if I get admitted, it will go to my deductible. I decide, screw it, if it's only the $250, then whatever. That's not the end of the world. And honestly, quick backstory, I was so hesitant to go because every time in my life that I have had an issue and I've had to go to the doctor, there's been nothing wrong with me. If you're new here, I'll fill you in. When I was 14, I started having a bunch of digestive issues. They thought maybe I had colon cancer. They did all these tests. I did X, Y, and Z. Couldn't find anything wrong with me, so they diagnosed me with irritable bowel syndrome. 2013 comes, and I start having a bunch of issues with my bladder. Couldn't find anything wrong. Oh, you just have overactive bladder syndrome. Last year comes, thought for sure my appendix was rupturing. I go to the emergency room and I had severe colitis. Thank God it wasn't my appendix, but still. So I just, you know, I had a history of every time something's wrong with me, there's nothing wrong. And the last thing I want to do, sorry, the OBGYN just called me. That's why basically I was hesitant to go to the hospital. So third time ever going to the emergency room. Here we go. I drive over there. Luckily everything went like super smooth. Everything happened really fast and I didn't have to like sit around and just wait for hours for something to happen. Go in and I register and I sit down. There's only 2 other people in the waiting room aside from myself, so that was really nice. I sat down and waited for like maybe 5-10 minutes. They called my name back to get blood work. Then another girl comes in while I'm getting my blood work and she said, once you're done with Rachel, can you take her to room 27? So once I'm done with my blood work, the girl takes me to my room. Here's a urine cup. I need to do a urine sample. We're going to do another pregnancy test, even though I literally just had one like an hour ago. So just fill this up whenever you're ready and then someone will be in for you. So I said, all right. So I had a whole bottle of water with me because I figured I was probably going to have to give another sample. I'm sitting there chugging my water. I get a sample for them, sitting there waiting. This doctor comes in. Well, not a doctor, but he was a 4-year med student, so almost. And he just asked me, you know, what's going on, lots of questions. He pushes on my stomach a little bit. He said, you're supposed to have some sonograms done. And I said, yeah, I was supposed to have some sonograms done, you know, in the mid-end of December. And I just was concerned about things getting worse if I wait another 6 weeks. And he's like, yeah, he's like, well, let me see if I can order the sonogram to have it done, at least one of them today. I'm like, okay, cool. So this girl comes in and she's like, all right, I'm gonna take you down. And I'm like, all right, well, like, what are we doing? She said, oh, we're gonna go for the sonogram. They do the pelvis complete. She does the external one first. And I look over on the screen and I see it like a big blob. And I know I'm not pregnant, but it looks kind of like a pregnancy blob. I'm like, oh, that's strange, weird. And I'm like, is that normal? And of course, you know, they can't tell you anything. So it's like, well, is that what yours looks like? And she's like, I can't tell you that either, but I tried. So she does that, and then she does the internal one, which was so uncomfortable, so painful. And not because of the thing, but just because of everything else I had going on. Anything like that would be very painful for me at this point. She looks around, takes a bunch of pictures, and then she's like, you know, I'm gonna do the external one more time. Is that okay? And I said, yeah, I mean, whatever you want to do. So she's doing the external one and she keeps going to the left side, like where my left ovary is. And I'm like, my pain's like on the right side. Like I was really confused as to why she kept going to the left. And she said, well, that would make sense. When she did my external one, I had my bladder like kind of full and then I had to empty it for her to do the internal one. But anyways, we get done with that. She takes me back to the room. Another doctor comes in to talk to me. He said, I'm not really sure, you know, what's going on. I have a couple of ideas, but we're just waiting for the sonogram results to come back before, you know, we jump to conclusions. And when I saw the PA that morning, she was thinking maybe I was having pelvic spasms. But when she was pushing on my stomach, on my bladder, and on my ovary, I like jumped off the table. So that's why she was really concerned. He leaves and then another doctor comes in like maybe 5-10 minutes after this one leaves. And this is the main guy that I saw after that. And he goes, we just got your sonogram results back and you have a very large cyst on your right ovary. Honestly, my initial thinking was like, thank God. Thank God something's actually there because I'm so sick of people telling me that nothing's wrong with me. Not that obviously I want something to be wrong with me, but it's like, it's discouraging, you know, like why waste my time? And then he says, it's very large, it's fluid filled, it's a complex cyst, and it likely has some internal hemorrhage. So I'm like, all right, I don't know what that means. And he's like, usually, you know, when people have cysts, they're like 2-3 centimeters. Yours is 7 by 6.5. They're common, not usually that big. And when they're that big, it's a little bit more concerning. He said the concern is that either it can rupture, it can burst, which can cause some internal bleeding, or it can cause torsion where it'll start to twist and kind of cut off the blood supply to that ovary. He said right now my blood supply to both of my ovaries is great. I just want to make sure that it stays that way. So he said just pay attention if you end up with a fever, if you start noticing sudden pain that doesn't go away, or if you start vomiting, you need to come back here right away. That means that it probably ruptured. So I'm thinking, oh, that's, you know, great. Like, it doesn't sound like a good time. I just asked us like, why is this happening? So that's why I've been feeling all this pain. Like it was just, you know, a whole month and it grew this big. He was like, I'm not really sure why they didn't find it on the pelvic exam when you were there, you know, a month ago, but maybe it wasn't that big at that point. I'm not really sure, but it was just so strange that like literally right after that appointment is when I started noticing the symptoms. How ironic. He said, I would like you to see your OBGYN, get their opinion on this. And then he's like, well, you know, I'm going to see if I can get you in there right away. If I call myself, I might get you over there sooner than you doing it. They didn't have anything to get me in right away, but they did say that they wanted me to have a blood test done called a Ca125, which checks for ovarian cancer. And they just figured that since I'm there, I might as well get it done, have the ball rolling on that since I don't get the results back right away. The rest of my blood work was fine, everything was normal, but they come in to draw more blood, and after that I was free to go. So I was there from probably 9 o'clock in the morning until 2 in the afternoon, which for an emergency room visit is very fast. Really impressed with how that went. As soon as I left there, I called and I left a message at my OBGYN. They called me back and said that they requested the records from my ER visit and they will look them over and call me the next day, which is today. So they called me today. She said that, you know, we're just going to schedule a follow-up in 4 weeks and see how it looks then. And I thought that was kind of concerning because right before she called, I got a notification that my test results back from my Ca125. And normally the ranges are supposed to be less than 35 and mine was 96. I told her that and I was like, well, are you sure you want me to wait that long? Because he wanted me to be seen right away and I just got these results back and it's pretty high. So she's like, oh, I didn't get those results. When did you get those? And I was like, I literally just got a notification like maybe 5-10 minutes before you called. So she's like, okay, well, let me make this appointment for now so we have it, but I'm gonna request to get those results and then I'll call you back. So she just called me back. That's who called when I was filming this. And she's like, yeah, we can't have you wait that long. She's like, are you okay with seeing anybody? Because the doctor that I normally see, I can't see for 4 weeks. And I said, you know, at this point, I don't really care who I see. I just want it done. You know, I just want to be seen and I want to figure this out. So she said that we're going to go for another sonogram, kind of redo what they just did, talk about the results and, you know, how we're going to proceed from here. So I'm going for my next sonogram Friday, November 5th. At 8:30 in the morning, and then I have my follow-up with my OBGYN at 9:15. So we're going to discuss what's going on and I guess go from there. I'll film an update when the day comes. But when I opened up my phone and I read this test results and I saw my score for my Ca125, I literally think I almost passed out. I just started sobbing, like dry heave sobbing. My grandmother, the one that passed away right before my brother passed away last year, had ovarian cancer. She didn't pass away from ovarian cancer, but she did have it, so I have familial history of it. So after I already panicked, I tried to not panic and just try to stay positive. And when I came home yesterday to make this day even better, go downstairs to ride the Peloton, which like I said, I've literally only been doing 5-minute rides just to keep my streak up and just to actually use it because it was so expensive, but I can't do anything like strenuous real exercises because I don't want to do anything that's possibly going to cause this cyst to burst. So I go down there to do my 5-minute little ride and the girls come down and they're sniffing the drain and I'm like, that's weird. So I go over there and there's all this black stuff all over the floor by the drain and I'm like, what is this? And I mean, I go down there every single day, so it literally just had to have happened that day. It looks like there was black stuff coming out of the air conditioner from the hose that runs from the air conditioner down to the drain. So I call the guy who installed our furnace last year and he's like, I think it's from your air conditioner unit is probably shot. Long story short, it's probably oil from that. So I'm like, cool, now we get to pay for that. Pour some vinegar on it because he tells me that's how I can help pull up some of the tar from the cement to try to get it out. Leave it there for an hour and then come back down and you should be able to just rinse it all down. So I go upstairs, I take a shower, come back down and I check the drain and the corner of the basement is full of water. And I'm like, what the heck is happening? And I'm trying to like scoop up the water. I'm putting it in the sink in the basement and I'm not getting anywhere. And what's happening is literally just going back down. It's like doing a cycle, like regurgitating right back down into the drain. So I'm like, this isn't gonna work, clearly. So we had to take buckets and pour it outside to get rid of the water. My husband flushes the toilet, fills back up with water. And I'm like, am I being punked? Like, is this really happening? Like, this is like 10:30 at night now and I go to bed at 9. So then we have that to deal with. We have a clogged drain. So I just had someone come and unclog the drain. The girls are at the groomer right now. I gotta go pick them up in like 2 hours. It's just been a not great time. And if they, the saying that everything comes in threes, well, that's my 3. So hopefully we should be good now. But as of right now, that's my cyst story. And like I said, come Friday, I will do another update to continue to share my story. I just realized I forgot to add this in, but the reason that I was having all these other problems from the cyst is because he said the cyst is obviously taking up space that usually wouldn't be taking up space. And with it increasing in size, the reason why my pain was in my bladder is because it's pushing on the bladder. The reason why it's more painful the fuller my bladder gets is because the fuller my bladder gets, the more space it takes up, which the less space the cyst has. Makes sense. The reason that I'm having the digestive issues is because my digestive tract being right there. Same thing with the vaginal, all the pressure that it's putting on all the other organs surrounding it is the reason why it feels like it's so many other issues when it's just, stemming from my cyst. And I do want to include this too. I did come across a video of a doctor talking about ovarian cysts, and I'll link it down below. And the part of the video that I will link, the way she talks about it and the way she's describing it is exactly my situation. So again, if this speaks to you, then maybe this will be helpful to you too. Alright, so today is now Friday, November 5th. I got done with my appointment. So I went in there and I forgot I was supposed to drink water. So I stopped at the gas station and bought this big bottle of water, and I'm like trying to sit there and down it in the waiting room. She brings me back for my ultrasound and she goes, "Oh, we're just doing the internal one today, so I need you to empty your bladder." I'm like, alright, so I just been like trying to chug this water for nothing. But whatever, so I do that, come back out. She does the internal ultrasound and she's showing me the cyst on the right side and what it looks like and kind of talking to me about different things, which was nice because normally they don't tell you literally anything. And then she's trying to find my left one and she's having a hard time finding my left ovary. She was able to find the left ovary with the external sonogram and she said it looks fine, so that was great. Then she sent me to a different room to talk to the doctor about the results. And the doctor came in and she had said that she wants to try and just monitor the cyst for now and see how it does. She said like 85% of the time they will just kind of resolve on their own and go away without any intervention. I'd like to see you like in a month and we'll just talk about it, see how things are doing, see how the symptoms are, and hopefully the more we monitor it, the more it'll go down and it doesn't change in size. And then she brought up my Ca125 results and she said you did score high for the Ca125, but she said if I was the doctor that was seeing you in the ER on Tuesday, I wouldn't have even ordered you that test because of your age, your premenopausal, and you're near your menstrual cycle. So she said because of that, it's not a really accurate test for you. I'm not convinced that it's something to be super alarmed about. So she said I would like to order another test for you to have done that's a lot more accurate. It's called an OVA1 test. Just a blood test and it takes like 1 to 2 weeks to get the results back. But she said I think we should do that because that would give us a more definite answer if this is something that we actually should be concerned about or not. If for some reason I don't do well on that test and it comes back positive, then she said I will have to refer you to a specialist and they will have to remove the right ovary, which, she's like, I don't really want to go that route unless we absolutely had to because of, again, my age, which I understand that. I don't want to just remove an ovary just to remove it. I want to make sure that there's actually a reason that it would need to be done. So I went in and I had my blood work for that. I was filling out the questionnaire before she took my blood and it was asking some questions just about different symptoms. Two of the questions that stood out to me a lot was, are you having bloating? And yeah, for sure, because I have this big huge egg in my body. Definitely noticed bloating from that. Honey, can you stop squeaking your ball? And then the other question was, are you having trouble with like feeling full faster, like finishing meals? And yeah, because my husband keeps getting so mad at me because I will eat a couple bites of something and I'm not able to finish it. So it made me a little bit worried, but I'm trying not to like worry unless I actually have a real reason to worry. But obviously that is easier said than done. So that is the current update. I have to go back on December 3rd to follow up with her, and then I still have my ultrasound appointments that she wanted me to keep for the 17th of December to check them again. I'll probably end up doing a part 2 new to this story just because that's all the information that I have at this point, and hopefully everything goes well. She told me that it looks like a textbook hemorrhagic cyst, which I didn't even know what that meant, and I'm just like, okay, whatever, you know, you're the doctor. And when I leave there, I Google what a hemorrhagic cyst is, and when I read it, it says that a hemorrhagic ovarian cyst happens in women who haven't gone through menopause. They are the result of ovulation. That part was kind of concerning to me because I've been on birth control since I was 15 years old, so I shouldn't have been ovulating at all for the last 13 years. So if that's the case, how is it possible that that's the cyst that I have if I don't ovulate? I tried to call them and ask the question, but of course you can't actually talk to a real person. So I left a message for them to hopefully call me back. But like I said, I'm just trying to stay positive right now for the meantime, and hopefully if we do decide to monitor it, it just goes away and it doesn't get any worse. I just have to be careful and not do anything too crazy and take it easy and not do anything that could potentially make it angry. So I hope that, you know, this doesn't relate to a lot of people, because obviously I never want someone to go through anything that is not very fun or that is painful. But if this is something that you relate to or something that, you know, you're concerned about, then hopefully you did find that, you know, through hearing my story, it was maybe a little bit of help or comfort for you in some way. If you did find this helpful, please make sure you let me know by hitting the thumbs up button. If you're not already subscribed, please feel free to do that. And as always, I will see you guys in the next video. Bye guys.